Welcome to the Buckhead 50 podcast. This is Graham Massell, 2026 president of Buckhead 50. I'm here with fellow board members, Surgeon and Leo. Go ahead and tell us about yourselves, gentlemen. Let's start with Surgeon. Tell us how you came about to Buckhead 50.
Well, our friendly bartender, Fred Nort, and board member invited me maybe 5 years ago to join. And since I live about a mile away and I enjoyed the fellowship and the speakers, I've decided to become a member. I've been very glad to be a member for about 5 years now.
Great. And Leo, tell us how you came about Buckhead 50.
Well, look, I had the great fortune of being out in the community doing civic events and met a very, very important person in the history of this organization, Michael Moore, who has passed away now. But Michael was such a dynamic person, and I can only imagine that if he was such a fun, engaging person, always big in Buckhead Business Association, and I would want to meet some of the people that he knew. So he invited me to come speak at the Buckhead 50 Club, and I continued to come by ever since, and now, of course, being part of leading the club.
Well, you've both been coming for as long as I can remember. I've been involved for about 5 or 6 years now. But Michael Moore was definitely a gracious leader and a hospitable person, notable figure in Buckhead, and did a lot of things. He was probably the best networker around. But I would say Buckhead 50 is not just about networking. It's about the social aspect, the camaraderie. What's your favorite aspects about Buckhead 50, Surgeon?
Well, it's the fine gentlemen like yourselves and the great speakers that we get as well. It's just you learn something new every time you come, and you get to hang out with some cool people.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, you know, look, I like the Masters in Augusta because of the $2 pimento cheese sandwiches. And we got a moratorium on excise taxes on beverages here. And there's always a great bar, always a great bartender from one of our members. And that's one of the features. I mean, look, it's the fellowship. It's the values that we have, that we're not here to try and get business out of one another. We're not here to just be seen or anything like that. It's really people who find each other interesting. There's a lot of folks with lots of experience in all kinds of aspects of life. There's a lot of veterans here. And so if you just want to be in a space where people have positive energy about all kinds of things, and for me, I'm involved in politics, so people who love America, that's like such a huge piece for me, to be around people who are centered with my values at the same time. So it's great.
Absolutely. I would say that we're a pretty positive, patriotic bunch here. It's held here at the American Legion Post 140 here by Chastain Park in Buckhead, and it's a notable place to be. It's a great place to have a monthly meeting and a dinner. I play golf here at Chastain Park. I go out and about here in Buckhead, but besides just Buckhead 50, Surgeon, what things do you like to do around Buckhead? What's your favorite spots to go to? What about Buckhead makes it special to you?
It's a fantastic location. So I live, as the crow flies, probably less than a mile and a half from here, and great restaurants, great shops, close to the city, close to the suburbia. So it's a central location, and it has everything to offer that a family would want. I have 2 teenagers at home. My wife's a small business owner, and we get a chance to take advantage of everything that Buckhead has to offer.
Absolutely. Leo?
Same here. I mean, look, I'm the father of 2. My kids were heavily engaged in sports in the Buckhead community. My son, played football over there at Chastain Park with NYO, and go to school. Both of them have been in school at Westminster. I have helped, found and create schools in the Buckhead community, Atlanta Classical. So one of the things I love about the community is just the engagement from, Buckhead Civic Association to Buckhead Business Association, just the fact that so many people care about the community. And one of the values that the Buckhead 50 men have put together is that we care about Buckhead and we give charity to Buckhead.
And that's where we got our founding, right? Buckhead 50, been around since 1932. We actually were some of the first groups involved with getting roads paved, getting trash handled. Notable people like the governor, all the way to city officials. really was what started Buckhead 50 and kind of the origination of American Legion Post 140. And that's one of the things that's great about Buckhead 50 is a long-standing history and treasured past here in Buckhead. And we're excited to push that forward as we reach our 100th anniversary coming up here in 2032. Just kind of rounding out the last couple of questions. Tell us a little bit more about yourselves, what you do, how you help community members here in Buckhead. Surgeon, we'll start with you.
So I'm a commercial banker with First Citizens Bank. Work with closely held businesses and help them get whatever they need from a bank, whether it's loans or cash management products. Been doing that my whole adult life, so 25, 27 years now in this industry. What was the other question?
Just what you do here in Buckhead, how you help community members.
The community members, so I volunteer at different nonprofits. I've volunteered at the CAC in the past. I volunteered at New American Pathways now, and volunteered at Childkind before that. So one is an organization that helps refugees that arrive to Atlanta get on their road to citizenship and become productive members of society. CAC helps those that are hit by hard times by providing food and support. And I did some educational lessons, financial education lessons for them. Childkind helps children that have severe medical issues find foster homes. Those are some of my charitable involvements in this community, all not too far from here.
Great to hear. And Leo, yourself as well, what do you do for work, and how do you help engage with the community here in Buckhead?
Speaking of engage, so I began a company in 2013 called Engage Futures Group, where we do government affairs, business development, civic engagement. I started that work while I was also doing some work with the Republican National Committee, but I didn't want to just do politics. I wanted to do things that increased engagement or at the tables of power, at the tables of decision making. So for the Buckhead community to support and encourage its independence, its culture, its ability to have resilience and give back in a larger city like Atlanta, to maintain what works well for it, was important for me and for my family, and it's important in general for Georgia. So, and part of that, I got involved in education reform and planting schools, and we've planted a school right here in the middle of Buckhead, Atlanta Classical Academy. So continue to do that kind of work and support those kinds of efforts in the greater Atlanta area, and to really let the Buckhead community be a shining example of what's possible when Atlantans get together and preserve what works. So from Chastain Park to Northside Drive, I've tried to engage as much as I can to maintain the kind of values in the Buckhead community that creates a stronger Atlanta.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for being on here today for the Buckhead 50 podcast. It's great to hear some of the board members' kind of backgrounds and what you do in the area, as well as how you help the rest of Buckhead 50 continue to grow. And look forward to having you on the board this year and where we go throughout the next handful of years until the 100th anniversary. Thank you both.
Thank you, Graham.
All right, we're back with the Buckhead 50 podcast. It's Graham Massell, president of Buckhead 50 2026. I'm here with a few other fellow board members. We've got Dan Perez and Larry Block. So we'll go ahead and kick it off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, gentlemen. Dan, where are you from? What brings you here today? What brought you to Buckhead 50?
Goodness. So born and bred in Georgia. Grew up in Peachtree Corners. Also a double dog. Went to UGA for undergrad and did the MBA program located in Buckhead here through Terry as well.
Nice.
Lived in Buckhead for about a decade and now live in West Midtown, which is just the southern tip of Buckhead.
Yeah.
But, and then good old Michael Moore also brought me to Buckhead 50. He was a neighbor of mine for a few years. Was nice enough to invite me to a meeting 3 or 4 years ago, and I've been coming ever since.
Great. Larry?
I'm actually third generation Atlantan, second generation Buckhead. I grew up right around the corner from here. Actually, I was born and raised here, then moved away throughout Atlanta. I've always been in Atlanta, but moved back to Buckhead about 5 years ago. John Vazalis is the one that invited me, but I've known Michael Moore for 20 plus years, and I'm not sure why Michael didn't invite me earlier, especially, location and everything else in the history.
Well, and Michael was leader of Buckhead 50 for 10 plus years, and definitely led us through some challenging times, but also kept us strong as a group of Buckhead 50. That's one of the things that, is one of my favorite parts about Buckhead 50 is you never know who you're going to meet. It's always a different crowd. We always have interesting speakers. So Dan, just tell us about maybe your favorite Buckhead 50 speaker, if you've got one top of mind that comes to, really why we're here.
You're putting me on the spot. So top of mind, I just remember Dan Jordan, our last speaker, and I was able to communicate with him after that, and we shared some ideas, especially on sales and how to approach different topics. So definitely really helpful to not only hear him speak and the persona that he was able to bring to the group, but to be able to engage with him after the meeting from a very professional perspective.
Yeah, Dan was a phenomenal way to start the new year, 2026. January, we had Dan Jordan come give us some motivational sales aspects, how to really bring out the best in you, how to make a sale, how to win the deal, how to really push forward in business no matter what you're doing. He had some really funny stories as well, but definitely a great speaker. Any favorite speakers, Larry, that you've heard in the past with Buckhead 50?
My favorite had to be, I forget the guy's name, but the race car driver. The guy that Michael brought in that had been racing,
land speed record.
Yeah,
yes.
Held all those records into his late 80s, almost 90, and still racing.
Yeah, definitely.
And he was just amazing.
And that's one of those things. You never know who you're going to get with a speaker with Buckhead 50. Sometimes it's business related. Sometimes it's something funny, something humorous, something really that hits home, but as well as some interesting characters like that. So awesome. And asked a few of the gentlemen earlier, what's y'all's go-to aspects of Buckhead? Favorite spots, favorite places to hang out? What do you like to do around here in Atlanta and Buckhead?
You take this one first.
I just love the atmosphere. Buckhead Village is great. When I grew up, it was totally different, but it was the same. It was the go-to place. It took a lot of years for it to get back there, but I think it is back there. And I just love walking around the Buckhead Village, the restaurants, and all the different shops and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I would say golf at Chastain Park is always good. Bobby Jones, again, bit of the tip there, but that's always nice. And yeah, the shops, Buckhead is continually evolving. That also requires the businesses to continually evolve, so it brings more and more restaurants, more and more shops that they kind of enable us to explore several different aspects of life.
Yeah, I mean, we've got incredible restaurants, Michelin star rated restaurants, incredible shopping, top of the line of haute couture in terms of retail you could ever find in Buckhead, throughout the shops of Buckhead Village, as well as Lenox and Phipps. And incredible golfing, right? Chastain is one of my favorite places. I've been golfing at Chastain since I was a little kid. I grew up on the other side of Chastain Park from here and have played Bobby Jones hundreds of times, probably more so when it was what it used to be than what it is today, but another great two aspects. Huge park here, Chastain Park, and all the surrounding, adding another 33 acres of park right here just beyond the American Legion hut. We're going to have a huge, large green space at Chastain Park, so that's an exciting feature coming our way. But back to Buckhead 50, so what's y'all's go-to aspects? Why should a member be a member of Buckhead 50? What makes you come every month and enjoy the group of Buckhead 50?
It's good to have the camaraderie. It's good to have the additional connections, the new relationships, and to hear the speakers. To your point, it can be a bit eclectic, but that's always good because you have a wide spectrum of good speakers that will come here.
Absolutely.
one of the things I like is there's no pressure. It's not like you go to a normal business thing and everyone's trying to sell their product. It's all buy, sell, This is more just a night out where you enjoy the speaker, you enjoy the people, but there's no pressure. It's all ages from the young people just getting into the workforce to the retirees.
Yeah, I'd say that's one of the best parts about Buckhead 50 is it's not a networking, pull your business out, business cards out and shake hands and try to put on a pretty face. It's real people talking about real life events, talking about what's really going on.
And the stories that you hear here. It's just amazing. Some of these people have been through it all. We've had sheriffs, we've had governors. Every time I come here, I hear another story.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes Buckhead 50 special. You've got other incredible networking groups in Buckhead, like Buckhead Business Association and many more, but Buckhead 50 is a little different, that you're not always about business. It's about getting to know people, having a story shared, hearing from a great speaker, and sometimes that's not about business. Sometimes it's a speaker who's really pulling at your heartstrings, like who we'll have tonight, talking about addiction and the problems that are, that come with that big major life situation, and then incredible other speakers that have done life journeys like Tim Crockett, who will be our speaker in March, who's sailed across the ocean twice. So you never know who you're getting.
Yeah, I thought he rode. Not sailed.
Rode, excuse me, rode across the ocean, yes. Yeah, but definitely another great thing, Buckhead 50, is the speakers and our civic work and philanthropy around town. So I know we've talked about doing some great things for veterans, and we did some good things over Christmas. We did a whole box and a half of toys for tots. But what kind of philanthropy work are y'all eager to see here out of Buckhead 50 in the coming years?
That's a great question. I think it depends. I've been involved in a couple of philanthropies, not Buckhead centered, but one surrounding homeless fathers and ensuring that they gain financial independence and are able to get their children back or go through the difficult situations of getting jobs and building equity through home ownership, as well as temporary stays for families whose children are engaging in chemotherapy. So a lot of times, especially at the Emory Proton Center, kids will have 6, 8, 10 weeks of therapy they need to go through. And we have one of the few machines here in Atlanta, and it's very difficult for parents to bring their kids and plan long-term stays, whether that's apartments, hotels. It's expensive. So working with that organization as well.
Nice. Larry?
Yeah, I like to see us, do things in the community, at the grassroots level. I'm involved with another project where every year we put on a karaoke contest to raise money for the first responders. And we make sure all that money goes to the actual people that we see every day, not just the national groups and things like that. So I like things at the grassroots level where we actually see what we accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, we've had interesting folks locally, local charities come speak. I think we'll be involved with several others. We've had veteran organizations. We've had cancer organizations. We seem to be having some really good speakers on that regard, and probably going to do a lot more philanthropy this year. It's exciting that we're growing that sector back with Buckhead 50, something that was the foundation of Buckhead 50. So I'm going to go ahead and ask a kind of a final question, but what's your real favorite story of Buckhead 50? Favorite person you've met? Favorite interview or what's come to Buckhead 50?
If you have one.
As I said, especially at the lunches, we've just sat there and listened to. I've gotten a lot out of talking with Aubrey Osteen, who was in the movies. He's been a sheriff. I mean, just some of the stories that I sat there one day for the lunch. I was Aubrey and I were the only people there, and we sat there for an hour and a half, and he just regaled me with story after story after story, and it was just fascinating.
I would say a few people. I don't think I can limit it. One is actually Leo from the political and educational side. A couple of other members that I met at the lunch that are just working on very fascinating technology that could really move the needle. Really wasn't aware that you'd be able to have those level of conversations just in such a small knit networking group like this.
Yeah, I mean, really interesting group of people here with Buckhead 50. I think that's one of the best parts about it is you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know what's going on with people's lives. Never know who you're going to hear from a speaker. Never know what we're going to have as a philanthropy activity or even for dinner. So one of the great things about Buckhead 50, we meet twice a month, once for a lunch, 4th Tuesday. Second Tuesday is dinner here at American Legion Post. Thank you very much for being on the show tonight, fellas. Y'all have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you.
Well, thank you.